we're going to start introducing the dogs to scent articles. Scent discrimination is an exercise that's done in utility, and in utility the dogs are actually retrieving a dumbbell that has your scent on it. I know a lot of you guys don't have your formal retrieve yet, and that's completely fine. You don't need to have a retrieve to start the concept of find your scent, because we really do want to break that piece out from the retrieval part of it anyway. So what I'm going to use today are these little metal tins. This was on your school supply list for Clever or for obedience class. If you don't have these, I wouldn't necessarily use something like Altoid tins because they're going to have a strong minty scent no matter how much you clean them. These are pretty much like Altoid tins, only they're brand new. They come in a 6-pack on Amazon. They're not too terribly expensive. So something like this works well. If you don't have these, your other option is to just use either metal canning lids. I also found these little wood circles at a craft store, and I had gotten a piece of leather at a craft store and cut that up, so I actually have metal, wood, and leather. It used to be that the scent articles in AKC were always, you had one metal and one leather. Now you are allowed to use any combination of metal, leather, and wood. You need 2 of them. And because most dogs hate to retrieve metal's actually the thing most people are not using. But even if you decide eventually not to use it, it doesn't hurt to start teaching the concept on metal. Okay. Load up, please. Okay. All right, so you have 2 choices. You can go right to scent, or you can help the dog out by putting a reward in the tin. I'm going to go ahead and do that. I'm not sure. We've done quite a lot of handler discrimination in scent work, which is similar to this, but I'm going to go ahead and help her out just because this is probably how most of you will start. This is the advantage of using the tins as opposed to something flat like a canning lid. You can, it's cheating a little bit, you can smear a little peanut butter on the scented canning lid, but it's going to be a more obvious lure. They're really not going to have to use their nose very much at all there. So I'm giving this a good rub between my hands. Wait, I'm going to put it down. I'm just going to release her. Break. And as soon as she goes to it, I'm going to click, open it up, and feed the treat. Good girl. Okay, load up. I'm going to repeat that one more time. I'm not using any kind of a search cue just yet because really this is just shaping. Wait. Break. Open it up, feed the treat. All right. If this concept is brand new to your dogs, which for a lot of them it will be, I would probably do 1 or 2 sessions of just 1. Now we're going to go to 2. So for the other ones, I'm just kind of picking them up by the edges. So they're going to have some of my scents on it, but really dogs' noses are pretty awesome. It'll be fine. So this time I'm going to put both out. I do have numbers written on them in Sharpie, so I know which one is my hot one, just so you don't lose track of that. Break. Good girl, good. I could have probably clicked a little earlier when she first checked this one. Okay, load up. All right, so with her, I'm going to go ahead and not put food in on this one because I want to see how a rep goes without any luring. I'm giving it a good bit of my scent there. I'm going to switch my positions. I'm just using my foot to move the one that's not the good one right now. Ready? Break. Good girl. Okay. Good job. All right. Oh, and that one doesn't pay. Hey guys, this week we're going to do part 2 of our scent discrimination exercise. My plan, last week I got up to using 2 articles, maybe 3, honestly, I forget off the top of my head, 2 to 3 articles, and I had faded out having food in one of them. Today we're going to start with 3, and I'm not going to have food in them. I do think if you're using the food in the tin in the beginning to get the dogs going, you want to fade that out pretty quickly because the danger of luring is always that we think the dog understands the behavior and really they're just following the cookies. So anytime you use a lure to jumpstart a behavior, you do want to make sure that before the behavior gets too complicated that you get rid of that lure. So today I am going to try to work without the food lure. I'm also using a different tin than I used in the last session. We had talked about that last week, how in the ring you don't get to pick which article you're scenting. I'm just going to knock without touching much. I'm going to put 2 tins out and spread them a little. And this week I'm using my number 3 tin. I'm going to scent pretty nicely. I'm going to just fiddle around a little just because I don't want her to just go to the last one I touched. Okay. Right. Good girl. And I'm going to feed right down there on the tin. All done. Good. So I liked actually that she checked them all and then went back. Oh, where are you going? Load up, please. Thank you. So you will probably want to stay at 3 articles for a little while. I'm going to live dangerously and go ahead and add a 4th. So this one's going kind of near where the other one was. This is my hot one. It's going to go right there. I'm just waiting her out when she goes to the wrong one. Good. With her, I am pausing and trying to get some sort of an indication. Break. What you guys probably don't know is that looking back at me and sometimes tapping with a foot is her indication in scent work. So this is actually starting to look like a scent work indication. With a lot of dogs, you would probably prefer to have a nose target, but I do know with her from a pretty long history that tapping the thing and then looking at me is her tell. We will transition this to a retrieve before too much longer, but for now, I'm kind of good with that. All right, I'm gonna rescent again and add one more. This time my hot one is going to be back here in this position. I'm trying to be careful not to repeat because dogs will get kind of superstitious about going back to what worked before. And at this point, I'm going to go ahead and add my handler discrimination cue because I feel like she is catching on to the game. If this is brand new, you might not quite want to add a cue just yet. Seek. I don't think so. You sure? All right. All right, and 5 is where I'm going to leave off today because I feel like she was starting to guess a little bit on that one. Right. So I think I want to stay at 5 a little bit longer. Let's do one more repetition at 5. Girl. Yeah. Okay, all done. That was pretty good. Load up. All right, so don't be in a big rush to add articles. I probably pushed it a little bit going from 2 to 5. Hi guys, we're going to continue with our scent discrimination training today. Last week I had left off using 5 containers. I'm actually going to jump into it and start with 6 today. I tried to spread them a little bit more this week. I noticed in a couple practice sessions that I did that was easier for Elf right now. I will eventually have to work them closer together again. In the ring, they're about 6 inches apart, but we're still a long ways away from that. So if a little more space helps this make sense to her, I'm going to split it out by doing that. Today I'm scenting container number 5. And I'm going to start out with it in this location. We're going to come on up. Okay. Sit. Okay. Okay. See? Yes, good girl. Good job, all done. Okay, we're gonna do 6 one more time. What it looks like was happening, and it'll be interesting to watch the playback on the video, is I felt like she was sniffing 5 and then hitting on the one right after it, sort of like her body wasn't quite working at the same speed as her nose. Her body tends to work faster than her brain as a general rule, so that kind of doesn't surprise me. I'm not sure that that's what was happening, but that was kind of interesting. So I'm gonna go, oh, Elf, where are you going? Load up. Sit. Thanks. So we're gonna do one more with this arrangement. This time I'm gonna go ahead and put my number 5 container out here. Okay, smell. See? No. Yeah, good girl. That was better. Very good. All done. Good girl. Good job. Good. So that was a little more decisive. It took her a little while to get out to that container, but definitely a more clear alert. I'm going to leave it at this for the containers today, and I am going to shoot another video using dumbbells because we started playing with that this week. GoPro, stop recording. All right, since Elf does have a retrieve, I'm going to go ahead and start transitioning from my scent tins to dumbbells. I'm starting all over again with just one. And I've only actually worked this up to 2, so we'll probably just try to get to 2 dumbbells today. So I'm using my number 6. I'm scenting it pretty heavily here. Where we are with this in the transition from a scent work style alert to a retrieve is when she's giving me her indication, I'm going ahead and cueing a retrieve and then rewarding the retrieve. And at this point, I'm actually just rewarding the pickup. She doesn't have to bring it all the way to me. Good girly, good job. All right, so that was pretty easy because there was only one. I actually feel like she's also maybe scenting the wood a little bit better than metal. I do have metal articles that I can experiment with, but I'm not sure that I have a retrieve on metal just yet. Can you load up? All right, sit. So I'm gonna go ahead and put a second article out. So I've got my number 2, which is not scented, as well as my number 6, which is. Smell. See? Good girl, take it. Good girl, come. Yay, good girly. That was nice. All right. Okay, load up. All right, I'm gonna live dangerously and go to a 3rd article. I have done this in practice a couple times this week using 1 and 2, but I have not put a 3rd one out yet. All right. And again, I am using more spacing than what we'll ultimately have in the ring, but we can tighten up as she gets more confident with this. See? Huh? See? Yay! Good girl. Good job. Very good. All right, and that's where I'm going to quit for today. Break. Load up. See? Yay! Good girl. That was very good. Really, really nice. Okay, get in the camera. Very good girl.